Well, we started to do a couple of different things with Kitchery, not this sort of play thing. We began to discover that there were some critical traditions that needed a lot of attention. For instance, we did Husay, which is the Muharram of Trinidad, which was brought from India.
Which was the first time that was brought to New York City, am I correct?
Well, it was practiced in New York City, but it was the first time it was brought into our community.
For a West Indian group?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we also were looking at Suriname. We discovered how much we have in common with Suriname and how much we have to learn from them, because they still have the language, and a lot of the things they're doing is still, you know, as old as when we first came off the ship, right?
Right, and I know for your Kitchery events, you do tend to fly people in from
yes, we do, yeah,
Suriname, Jamaica, Guyana,
we started doing
Trinidad.
some of that stuff, yeah.
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 To bring the culture here and roots. And
to root it here, yeah.
Now, I know the late Rudy
oh yes,
was
yes,
a very big part
very
of the
close to the
Rajkumari
center.
Cultural Group. And I know for many years he was highlighted in your
He was the
shows
one,
and your
right?
programs. I mean, you guys were very close. He was definitely an asset to the Rajkumari Cultural Center. I mean, what does that mean to you? I mean, are you guys, I'm sure you guys have done things to honor him and, you know, to, what are you going to do now that he's not here? Because I know he was a major part of Kitchery.
Yeah. Well, he actually became like a main music director for us.
Right.
He even came on the board of directors.
Okay.
We even got him to get an email. And in addition to that, we spent a lot of time together, him and I, and really talking about the culture, what's happening to Chautal, right?
Right.
So he and I fought a lot over these things, but you know, not debated. And I said we just have to go back to the gender traditions, because Chautal is a man's tradition, right? Even though women can play it, but the traveling metal against metal and the stature of these, I remember these men in Grove,
In the
right?
gold groups.
Walking down these passages through the labyrinth of the village and just playing jal whole night, you know. It's powerful, right? They're giants, and you know, this is the way I want to see Indo-Caribbean men, in this place of power. This is what a powerful man is to be, you know. And I remember my father and the neighbors and so on. To me, when I think of the Indo-Caribbean man, I see that, right? You know. And then, of course, we have the women's song, which, of course, he worked very closely with Auntie Bago.
Now, he started, correct me if I'm wrong, he started the first women's Remind goal.
And he started the first men's Chautal goal on a serious, comprehensive, professional level. He has the New York.
Well, when you say started, there have been other Remind
yeah, but
goals.
this is
the older groups.
Yeah, but this is a serious thing that is passing the knowledge on to new generations.
He's passing the knowledge, yeah. But there's definitely been Remind goals.
There are groups.
But he wrote a few books.
He
teaching
compiled
a lot.
a book with Dr. Peter Manuel,
right,
which is the first systematic, comprehensive book, and it's of the systematic tals and stuff of Chautal. All the Chautal is just one of the tals, but there are all these different tals involved. He works closely with the Women's Remind Group. And then he worked closely with the Rajkumari Center, because we developed a program called Goals. Right. Goals just means simply circle. So you have a Chautal goal, a drum goal, or a Remind goal. It's really not a full goal. It's a semi-horseshoe, and then the drum completes it, right? Right. And so we began to work on focusing in on bigging up the folk arts, right? The goal system. And what is beautiful about that is that it's seasonal. Chautal is in the spring, and then you have the wedding goals, and then you have all the different goals. So it's like a mala of things that we did cyclically. This year, the theme of Kitchery 2012 is From Chautal to Chutney.
Okay.
And this is basically dedicated to the memory, the celebration of the life of the late Rudy Ramnarine.
Awesome.
Right?
Sure, a lot of people are going to appreciate that.
From Chautal to Chutney is a follow-up to the book that he and Dr. Peter Manuel put together. And it is also a multimedia seminar and integrated with live presentations, that it's sort of a musical journey of migrations and transformations of music. And we'll have the New York Rudy's Chowtal group on hand
Okay.
to play all the samples of the Chowtal and so, and the women's Ramayan is going to be there.
Okay.
And in the evening, we have a spectacular performance of old songs, some wedding house songs and dances, but the bulk of the evening concert is going to be a grand presentation of chutney dancing by male and female dancers.
Okay.
And we brought Denise Babulal in
All the way from Florida.
from Jaya
Okay.
Devi Art to come in and do it, because a lot of the musicians we work with is, man, Denise Babulal is the only person that could do chutney, right? But we want to do a chutney that is uniquely Richmond Hill.
What would that be? What is a chutney that's uniquely Richmond Hill?
What is a chutney that is uniquely Richmond Hill? It's an everyday thing for us today in Richmond Hill, right? We're on the bottom house, we're in a wedding, we're in a club, we're not walking down the street, you hear the music thing, you wiggle a little, you're driving a car, you're wiggling a little bit, It's like how we respond to it on a real level rather than on a carnival level. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the realness of this chutney has come through this passage and it's come to this spot, right? And it's one of the things that is uniquely Caribbean.
It is. And I actually want to ask you a question. I mean, being the artistic director of the Rajkumari Cultural Center, and you're Guyanese. I know Denise is from Trinidad. And what I've grown up around, being Guyanese, normally when you hear of chutney, it's kind of looked down upon when I was growing up. That chutney is, rum songs or, winding up songs or something in a negative aspect. I mean, what would you say chutney is? First let me ask you, have you ever heard of that growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I heard of it. And for instance, we had a wonderful dancer called Dolly Bash that did a film dance, but it was totally chutneyized. And we always thought she was spectacular. Right. And we see beyond everything else and, the artistry of it, right? And then even in the films, Helen, who was the dancer, it's only now people are seeing Helen as this diva, right? And this really great artist, right? But we saw that before, and I think many of us do see it. But even today, among some dancers, we called some dancers to come perform, and they're like, we don't do chutney, right?
Right.
But since we began Kitri in 1998, right, we have been promoting, raising chutney to the same level as Bharatanatyam and Kathak and all these things, right? Because it's our thing, right? It's we own, right?
Right.
But at the same time, what we're doing is we're using it in different ways, right? We're using it in highly choreographed ways. We're using it in a house environment as a part of a play. Because if you're going to talk about it on a real level, how we behave on the ground, that is what we do. When
So would you say that there's a vulgar level of chutney and then there's a artistic level of chutney? I mean, why is it going up, and you agreed as well, that it was looked upon as a negative way?
Well, there's an art.
And to be honest with you, I got an email today talking from a pundit, actually. It was a group email. And the pundit actually talking about why is it that our culture has this chutney music that's about rum and whining and vulgarness and this and that. And, I thought of it as, I look at chutney as a form of art. When you think about like the taunt, like I put it in the same category as like the taunt singing, the style of singing. But I think throughout maybe the years, the generation, the chutney has been kind of twisted, and in a way that now people are looking at it as a vulgar.
Well, as a matter of fact, we brought chutney with us from India, right?
Okay.
And actually, if you listen to some of these wedding songs and some of these, songs, they're very vulgar, actually. Okay. And the reason it sounds more vulgar is because we don't understand Hindi. Okay. And so when the Trinidadians translate it in English, we're horrified. But those lyrics are lying in the Hindustani, that we don't even understand. So the point is, the stuff is always there. But what is chutney? chutney is sensual. You know, chutney is like a social thing, right? Chutney is about.
Chutney's hot.
It's
spicy.
hot. Chutney could also be sexy, or it could be overboard as well, right? But it's all chutney. A lot of people are going up there charading as chutney, but it's really film dance doing. Which brings me to their special little project that we're bringing to the little kids of Richmond Hill, which is the Tassa in the Park. It's another goal.
Tassa in the Park.
Tassa in the Park in
Smoky Park,
in Smoky Park on Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. for the summertime. And when we started out, we had 30 kids. And the day before yesterday, we had 60 children of all color, all creeds, all background. You had Punjabis, you had Indians from India, from the Caribbean, you had Latinos, you had African kids.
Now, who's teaching this Tassa in the Park?
Well, we have a group of Tassa players, which is actually being moved forward by Ryan Ali.
Okay.
Yeah. He's young and he's good but he's connected with the Buddhist Singh Tassa.
Yeah,
But,
Ryan's excellent. He's been on the show before.
And he's also, the important thing is that he's been he taught in the Cayman Islands a couple of things, and he understands, like, going into a space where you have to work with all these kids, right? But it's very exciting, and I think we have now more volunteers to come and help us to organize them, and they have plastic drums that they beat on, right?
Now, are they going to do, I know they actually make their own drums. Are they going to do a session maybe showing the kids how the actual drum is made? The real drum, not the plastic.
But remember, the children are from 12 down, 12 and under, you see? And parents have to bring them. So it's also a way to reconnect parents and children in a creative environment where they're in a shared space creating a work, right? Getting involved, right?
Now tell me about the center. Is it open 24
It's
hours?
open 24 hours a day.
Okay, so you could go in. What do you do there?
We have all the goals programs there. We have other groups coming in and having programs like the Jahaji Sisters, the Grow Richmond Hill Coalition, Richmond Hill Economic Development Council.
So it's like a community center.
It's really because we need a community center. And then we're going to having some cut dance coming up in the fall.
Okay.
We have a wonderful youth program called Leela, which is called Linking Identity to Living Arts, using the concept of Leela. So it's actually a mini tree, right? But it's for high school students.
Okay.
So we're trying to get all these things in place, but we're actually landing now, right? And it's different to assume we know our community because we are Indo-Caribbean from Guyana and Trinidad. You have to literally live on the street with them and go and gas with them and go have coffee with them and see what's going on. What are the kids doing? What are they? Go and see the birdmen in Richmond Hill. Right.
So why do you do this?
Because I just want to go. It's like coming home, right? You were constantly trying to get back home somehow, right? For me, artistically, I like new challenges all the time. I get very bored of doing the same thing over and over again, right?
Okay.
And so it's a new untouched area for us now to go in. Let's deal with the young kids. If we want our gods to live, if we want our art to live, we have to work with the little ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Pritha, you're doing great work. I mean, past 16 years, Kitchery's been around. You've been around before that.
Thanks.
Your family's been around before that. I mean,
5 generations.
5 generations, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, please go out, support all of these events in the communities. Go out every Tuesday, Smoky Park. Check it out. The Tassa groups. Bring your kids, bring your family, bring everybody. Have a good time. Pritha, I will see you for the Kitchery event, and I'll probably stop by one of the Tassa events too.
Oh, yeah, come and definitely. We were supposed to have a chutney music and dance thing, but the parks is giving us. That's another thing, we have to start getting used to the parks so that we can have things there for our kids.
Of course,
yeah.
of course.
There's a lot of restrictions, and those are some of the things we have to deal with as well.
Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing you
Thank you
very
so
soon.
much.